Welcome back. Um, Previously, we talked about the types of computers and really emphasized the changes and where the computers have gone, but also the microcomputer and the impact. Um, I gave you my information about the tablets and where they're going, what they can be used for. Keep all that in mind for your future decisions. Um, When it comes to basic computer hardware, though, again, take a few minutes, watch the video. Powerful video really will help you understand it. But now I want to talk to you about what does it say in here? So I want to expand this. Make sure you spend a moment to read over this. Um, Here is your vocabulary words. These should be put in your word bank. It just takes a few minutes, but it also gives you the definition here, or you could search for it in Google if you want to find some answers. Just remember, hardware, when we're talking hardware, that is something you can touch. It's tangible. You can pick it up. You can feel the weight. You can drop it and watch it break. We're talking something that is touchable. Software, it could be on a disk, but in general, software is considered non-tangible. You cannot touch software. So the computer case, that's the outer unit or the outer body of the computer. And I will say, if you've ever looked at building your own computer, they've got some just beautiful cases out there, just outstanding material. And I've seen some really neat computer cases that people have taken and modified the case to then put the computer components in there. And it's fascinating what people can do. It's almost a hobby for some people. And I've built a gaming computer myself and thought it was really nice. I enjoyed it, but it gets costly really quick. The motherboard, now that is the main part of the computer. This is where it pulls everything together, and that's why it's called a motherboard. It's like the mother of a family that keeps track of all the children. And so here, the motherboard keeps track of all the parts and it knows what's plugged into it, it knows what's working, and things like that. The processing unit, that is the brain. That's where decisions are made. It decides what to do. RAM, however, is memory. Now, this is where it's easy to get confused. RAM is the memory that's running, or short-term memory. So if I'm sitting here trying to do a math problem, I'm using the RAM in my head. And the same with the computer. If I'm playing a game, it's using the RAM there on the motherboard to play that game. Hard drive is also memory, but it's long-term memory. Hard drive is where I remember back what class I was in 5 years ago and who my teacher was. That would be my hard drive because I'm recalling something. On a computer, the hard drive is that. It's a physical device that allows the computer to pull up something that you saved on it 5 years ago or 2 weeks ago. That's the hard drive. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about the CPU, Central Processing Unit. It is responsible for executing software programs running on the computer. Like I said, it's the brain. It is what really makes everything else work. We talked about the random or the RAM, random access memory. This is where programs that are running are right there. And I will say, what will slow down your computer the most is not having enough RAM. If you go cheap and you get just enough, go short on the RAM, then you're going to find that your computer is frequently having to save things to the hard drive and then go back and read things from the hard drive. And it slows the system down. So make sure you have a lot of RAM, especially if you're a gamer or working with videos. Those use a lot of RAM. Read-only access memory, that's kind of what allows the computer to start up and know that it's a computer. The ROM tells it, hey, when you hit that power button, it's the first thing that the power goes through, and it says, "Hey, you're a microwave," and so it knows, "Hey, I've got to wait until you push in how many minutes you want me to run," or, "Hey, I'm a blender. When you push that button, then I blend." Or actually, "Hey, I'm a computer. I need to load Windows 10. I need to load Chrome. I need to load whatever is programmed in there." But that's what the ROM is. It tells it how to start up, and what it is. Your video card is what you're looking at, or the output of the video card. The video card is what puts the image up there on your screen. And some people want just a really outstanding video card because they want to see the details in what they're doing, whether they're dealing with photography or videos or a really cool game. They want to see the details. Other people, the video card's not as important. They're sitting there, they're more, "Hey, I want to enjoy my music," or "I'm just on the computer to do some Facebook. I don't need the graphics." So you need to think about that. Same with the sound card. Each has their own preference, but it is something that when you're purchasing a computer, you need to decide, how much do I want to spend on the graphics or the audio? And the higher end you go, the more expensive the computer is. Now, hard disk and solid state disk. This is something that's really quite new. For years, since the 80s, really even before that, hard disk looked like what's the image here on the screen. Excuse me. You had a spinning platter, and then the read-write arm, the silver arm that is sticking out over the gold platter. And that's what a hard drive looked a lot like. Back in the 70s, a hard drive was as big as a washing machine, it was just huge and held very little. Now you can have multiple terabytes on a hard drive. What's neat though is solid state. A hard drive, this arm, it moves back and forth, and since you've got moving parts, it can fail. Solid state is where you no longer have you don't have moving parts. It's more, they've taken a thumb drive and made it a hard drive. Wow. It is so much faster. It uses so much less electricity, and it has a really good lifespan in general. Cost, yeah, it costs more. Again, this is where you have to weigh, what am I trying to do? If I need massive amount of memory, if I need a 2, a 4, an 8 terabyte hard drive, I'm going to go a hard drive. But if I want that much for solid state, man, that's a lot of money. It's going to be very, very expensive. And so I'd have to reevaluate that. So think carefully about that. They're talking about removable storage, how you can store things on a flash card, a thumb drive or flash drive, or an SD card. And then you've got your micro SD card. You've got all sorts of options out there. Just understand, while you think, "Hey, I can store my data on this," it is a physical device and it will fail. The question is, when? Will it be 6 months from now, 3 years from now, 8 years from now? When will it fail? It will fail, though. And then they're talking about computer architecture. And this is just how data flows through it. And just kind of take a moment and look at this and understand, while your motherboard is the main thing that the RAM and the CPU is on, everything else is connected to that motherboard. And they all go through the CPU, through the RAM. The RAM, that's what's running and managing everything that's running at that moment. So if I'm listening to a song, it's going from the CPU to the RAM to the sound card out to the speakers for me to listen to. If I'm storing a video clip to my hard drive, it's going from the CPU to the RAM to the hard drive. If I'm playing a game, it's going from the CPU to the RAM to the sound card and the video card, and then to the monitor and the speakers. So just understand where this architecture is and how everything's interacted and related. Computer performance, this is where they're just talking about how everything works together, and understand that a computer is much like a train. A train can only go fast as its slowest car. So even though the train may be designed to go 200 miles an hour, if there's a car back there that's attached to that train that cannot go more than 50 miles an hour, that train is not going to go more than 50 miles an hour. That car back there is holding it back. Well, the same with your computer. It's only going to go as fast as its slowest part. Is that slow part the processor? Is that slow part the not enough RAM? Or is the slow part the fact that you just don't have enough bandwidth on the internet to get that movie to download as fast as you want? Those are the factors that make the difference on how fast your computer is. Whew. This is a long chapter here. Mobile hardware. Now, this is where they're really talking about things that impact you today. And with everything, it's changing so rapidly. Every year they come out with new hardware on your mobile devices, whether it's your smartphone, your tablet, your watch, and they introduce new things. Now they've got a watch that can check your blood pressure, your heart rate, your sleeping habits. I mean, it's amazing what all these things can do. And it's all about components that they put in there. Always check your antenna. I don't care how brand new the phone or tablet is. If it doesn't have a good antenna, you're greatly limited on what you can access when you want to access it. Then also you've got to look at, does it have a good CPU, a processor? Can it handle what I'm wanting to do? Am I wanting to play a really high-end video game or watch movies? Or am I just wanting to sit here and type up research papers? Your camera. Again, I feel sorry for all those companies that are still out there trying to make digital cameras when everybody's just using the camera that's on their phone or tablet. And I really like the cameras on those devices. They get great shots and they're convenient because I'm already carrying my phone. Back in the 90s, even 2000, man, when anywhere you went on a trip on vacation, you had to carry around a camera. Now you just use your phone. It is kind of neat when you go to graduation, though, and you see people holding up this great big tablet to take a picture with. But it works. Why not? And then deciding on what you want to purchase. All of that is a big factor. And you have to weigh, how much do I need? What am I? Because it comes at a cost. The more you ask for, the more it's going to cost. So keep that in mind. It's the price that'll make it the difference. And then communications, your internet service provider, ISP, your cellular data. Right now, y'all aren't too worried about that. A lot of your parents are footing that bill, but soon you'll be having to pay for this. And this is information you really need to think about. And I promise you, I felt so bad, and it's happened to me back many years ago, where, hey, this company was offering this great deal on a phone and outstanding data plan. I run down there, I sign up, and then halfway to my house, I realize it's not connecting to anything. I get to my house, it's still not connecting to anything. They're very limited in what areas they cover, and especially here in Texas. You're living in Austin or Dallas, you probably have much better coverage. But here in Temple or outlying areas, it can quickly get limited. And especially when you go out to West Texas, I've been heading to West Texas and boom, there was nothing, no phone service, nothing. And so you've really got to take into account, where are you going? What are you doing? And then do they cover the area I'm in the most? So, sorry about this being a long one. I went through it as fast as I could, but there was a lot to cover. We'll talk about this more. If you have questions, let me know. And uh, hopefully we can see each other soon. Y'all be safe and stay healthy.